Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bird Talk with Terrence Mathis. I'm William Brandon. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel Atlanta Sports Unlimited and turn on those notifications so you don't miss an episode. So while I'm saying that right now, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on that little bell, okay? So you don't want to miss a thing.
Ding, ding.
Well, everyone, as you know, last week we did discuss Julio Jones. Well, it looks like everyone is still discussing Julio
Yes,
Jones.
yes.
And even the Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan, who sat down with the media this week, he also spoke about Jones's impact on his career.
Well, rightfully so that we're still speaking about Julio Jones. You got to understand, years ago when we jumped all those positions to get Julio Jones, we questioned Dimitrov and what he was doing and how it was going to affect us down the road. But what has happened is Julio Jones has become the best receiver to ever play for the Atlanta Falcons. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And right now, as we talked about last week, the distractions that it is causing right now could determine where you're going to be at the end of the football season. Now, here's the thing, getting rid of Julio Jones is going to be detrimental to this organization if they trade him because of the fact that here you are, a new coach, new GM, and you trade arguably the best wide receiver in today's game and the best wide receiver to ever play for the Atlanta Falcons. People are going to look at you sideways and say, you better win some football games and you better win them right now. And if you looked at the Matt Ryan interview, he said it. He does not know what this offense looks like without Julio Jones. He has been a intricate part of the success of Matt Ryan. And the thing is it's about time that Matt Ryan did stand up. He around about the way he said, let's keep Julio Jones. I need Julio Jones. And I liked it. I love this interview. I love Matt Ryan's interview. He had more character to him. He had more charisma to him. And he didn't sound like a soundbite. He sounded like he was speaking on, he was emotional. He answered questions the best he could. Uh, I think he got irritable when they kept asking about uh, before the draft. Did they talk to you about drafting the quarterback at number 4, and how did you feel? And he answered it beautifully. It didn't happen, so I can't answer that question. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, he had a good interview with the media, and it was more candid than what I've seen him of late. One thing that he did say that I was going to ask you about, he in regards to Julio, he just said that he doesn't get involved in the business side of it. He's like, I love Julio. He's my guy. I wouldn't be where, basically where I am in my career if it wasn't for him. But he said he kind of stays out of that piece. Is that, we kind of talked about that in the past. I mean, does Matt really need to just to be outright forthright and say it, or is he just telling the media that he's not doing more, or is it just that simple that he's like, well, that's my buddy, but I'm gonna stay out of it. That's their business.
Well, at the end of the day, publicly he's saying the right things. He doesn't want this to play out publicly with him and Julio against Arthur Smith, and the new GM Fontenot. He doesn't want this to play out that way in the media, and I get it. But I guarantee you there has been some private conversations about this because at the end of the day, Matt Ryan is the face of this franchise. If as Matt Ryan goes, this football team goes, and he needs what to be comfortable. He needs his guys around him that makes him comfortable. So I'm sure there's been a couple of conversations about this, and if it has not happened, uh, shame on both sides. Shame on both sides.
Yeah, I guess I'm just apprehensive because of Matt's demeanor. I feel like he's just he's outspoken, but maybe not to the level that a lot of people always want out of their quarterback, whether it's to audibles or even this situation. I guess people want to hear him outright say that he needs him and he doesn't want him to go, and he's going to do everything. But like you said, I guess that's just he doesn't want to cause that ruffle between the new administration and the
Well,
players.
well, we're used to the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's, the Drew Breeses, those type of guys that are very outspoken and speak their mind whatsoever. Matt Ryan is not like that, but Matt Ryan has to understand that he's been in the league long enough. He's been a league MVP. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's been to NFC Championship games. He's been in playoff games. He's won a lot of games. He's thrown for a lot of yards and touchdowns. He has the right to say whatever he wants to say and how he feels to say it. And nobody should even question, what he thinks and how he feels about his teammates or the organization, because he's been around here longer than anybody besides Rich McKay and Arthur Blank. He's been around more than Fontenot, more than Smith and his staff, and even the scouting staff. Matt Ryan probably been around longer than all of them, so he's seen the ups and downs, the comings and goings. So he has the right to say or have an opinion on how this organization should go.
And I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I guess with him doing that, maybe he needs to take the LeBron James path of saying, "Hey, I want him to stay,"
Right.
because, like you said, he's been here longer than anybody besides Rich McKay and Arthur Blank, and
Mhm.
so it just
Well,
seems.
and William, and if he does that, I I truly think that all the talk about let's get rid of Matt Ryan, he's this, he can't do this, he's soft, blah blah blah. If he does that, you would see a rally cry around Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and this football team that you haven't seen in years. I think the fans are just waiting to see, as we call it in the league and everybody call it, they're waiting to see that dog come out of Matt Ryan. And when it does, dude, I believe it's gonna just be a ripple effect, not only in the city, but around the league.
Yeah, that would definitely be great to see, and I think it would. The city would probably definitely rally around him, seeing him rally around Julio. And I know people are getting tired about the Julio talk, but even this morning, Jeff Schultz article came out, and he stated that essentially the Falcons are trying to trade Julio Jones. They said some of the suitors include the Patriots, the 49ers, the Ravens, the Colts, the Los Angeles Chargers, and even Arthur Smith's former team, the Titans. But they do have cap issues in their own right, like the Falcons. Do we? I don't even like to fathom him going to many of those teams, but I
Well,
guess.
this is the thing. Um, I don't get it. I get it. You're trying to get under the cap space. If if you think he's a commodity that can't perform anymore, that you feel that he can't help your football team win, I understand the fact that you might want to trade him. But here's a guy that's going to help your football team win, and he may win 2 or 3 games by himself. Now, if it's about money, that's a fix. That's really a fix. Just have a conversation, have a candid conversation, because at the end of the day, this guy is your all-time leading receiver in Falcon history. One of the best, top, probably the top 10 receivers to ever play the game right now. And honestly, he deserves to retire in black and red. He deserved to retire as an Atlanta Falcon football player. And the reason why I'm so adamant at that, because I was at this point years ago and as the all-time leading receiver and didn't get an opportunity to retire as an Atlanta Falcon. And it still scarred me today because of the fact that this is home. This is where you just put it out on the line. And Julio Jones has deserved that honor to retire Atlanta Falcon football player.
I agree. Like you, I mean, like from your own perspective, and like you said, like if people just step away and take it from a job perspective, you work at your job for 10 plus years in a regular profession, and you live in that city, you live there, and you dedicated so much to it, whether it's a firefighter, police officer, a doctor, you would expect to retire from that precinct or that fire station or whatever. And it would
Right.
probably kill a regular individual to know that, hey, I put all this heart and soul, and now I'm not going to retire for this local station that I've worked at all my life.
And I can see if it was he wasn't free, his contract was up and he's trying to negotiate with the Falcons and he's not getting what he's worth and whatsoever. And there's six other teams that's vying for his services and the numbers are so far apart that he leaves. But that's not the situation here. I understand you want to get look, you knew when you took this job, Fontenot Smith, where you were cap wise. You knew this. So I think this first year, you're going to just have to deal with it and then make changes and do what you have to do during the offseason. Because right now, Julio Jones and Matt Ryan and all the other weapons gives you an opportunity to win football games right now. If Julio Jones goes away, what it causes a distraction because now these players are not trusting the fact that if I put in the time and all the hard work and my heart and soul, you're not going to respect me enough to say, hey, you should stay here. You just want to ship me off because my salary cap number. And I get it, it's a business. I get it. But sometimes you got to put business aside and put emotions in part of it and common sense in front of it. And common sense and emotion says Julio Jones stays and help this team win football games and he retired on his own terms.
If they can keep him, where else can they possibly find the space they need on this roster to get these guys saved?
Well, of course, once you drafted Kyle Pitts in the fourth pick overall, right now you have, there go Hurst right there. He's a casualty. And, I thought he played well for the Falcons last year, and I thought coming into next year he got his feet settled in the ground, and he's going to help you more. There's salary cap situation there. Um, you have tons of offensive linemen on your roster right now that you don't know if they're going to be viable or not. That you drafted over the last 3 years, 4 years in the first round that are good commodities that you can get rid of. And I think that's about it. Anywhere else, you can't afford to move anybody else anywhere else because those players are solid players, and that's going to help you win football games.
When we were talking about the Matt interview and how he was a little bit more candid, like you said, he was asked a hypothetical about the drafting the QB, and he just, like, hey, I mean, they didn't draft him, so what can I say? But he did just say that regardless of the position, it happens all the time, year long for all players. He's like, they're always looking for somebody faster, younger, and cheaper to replace you. So regardless if they drafted a Justin Fields or not, I guess Matt feels like, he's always got to perform at a high level in order to maintain his job.
Well, what I got from Matt Ryan from that interview was he's a little edgy. He wanted to prove to people that he still had years left in him, productive years, not just just to be on the roster. And I think he has something to prove this year. It was always talk. They still talk about we should have drafted Justin Fields. We should have drafted a quarterback. Matt Ryan has done. He hears it as he said it. If you're looking for bad stuff, you can find it. If you're looking for good stuff about you can find it. He says, I stay right in the middle. I hear the good, I hear the bad, I weigh both of them. But at the end of the day, I got to do my job, go out and perform and be productive and help this team win football games. And I like what he said because he hears it all. Because, the flesh, the human part of you, when you hear the negative, you want to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And then when you hear the positive, it reassures you that you've done something good. So you weigh to both of them and said, you want to keep this part that says, hey, you've done something good. And you want to pull this part that's the negative part and the negative talking somewhere in the middle to the other side. So, you say, well, you can't play for those who think, it's a motivator. At your age, at Matt Ryan's age, and the years he's been in the league, he has nothing else to prove, really. But for you to continue to go, you need that side, that negative side, to push you. That's your that's your motivation, and that pushes you. And I love it because now this other side, that's the good side, they're fighting against each other, saying, "Oh, he's the best. Oh, he's not. He's the best." And he's sitting in the middle, going, "Hey, I'm gonna show him all. I'm gonna show him all." And that's the motivator that can for high profile, high IQ guys need that negative to motivate them to be the best that they can be.
Yeah, Matt did say that he it's a lot harder to tune out the noise than it was in the past. I'm assuming by social media and
Mhm.
podcasts and things like that. So, but I guess he stated that he stays grounded and tries, like you said, not to pull in too much positive or negative, and just and try to stay grounded. The Matt was asked, also Arthur Smith was asked about how some of the players have performed in mini camp. What can you tell us about mini camp? I mean, people expect to see so much going on, but it's mini camp. It's not training camp. So when you came into the league, was there a mini camp
Yes.
like there is now?
Yes. Well, mini camp. See, people don't understand. Mini camp is very, very important because it's a short period, maybe 2 or 3 days of football. And the thing is, you want to see not only the rookies, and see where they are, because we as veterans, we want to see, is this guy going to help us win? Is this guy who we thought he was, whatsoever? So you want to fill it out. And then these mini camps, when the veterans come in, you want to see where they are. What have they been doing during the off season whatsoever? So you want to see, the quicker you can come together as a team in those 2 or 3 days, transitions to how well you're going to be in training camp. So I mini camp is very, very important because it's the first time the young guys, the free agents, the rookies that got drafted or the undrafted free agent rookies come in and get to know the nucleus of this team. So at this time, this bonding period really, for these 3 days, and then you just, it's a test. You feel each other out to see how hard they work. Are they talented enough? Are they smart enough? Can they gel with with the other players? So mini camp is very, very important.
Yeah, okay. Because I was curious about the mini camp portion because a lot of the media questions towards Matt and Arthur Smith were asking about of course Kyle Pitts and they mentioned Frank Darby, but a lot of the words that I kept hearing from Arthur Smith and Matt Ryan was they got to make sure that guys are lined up right before they can even worry about how they necessarily play. So in mini camp, are they going through some walkthroughs? I guess that might simulate what plays they might run just to see where players mentally know what to do.
Well, that's what it is. Mini camp is an installation period. You're installing the offense, you're installing the defense, and that's what mini camp is basically for. You're very vanilla in what you do offensively and defensively. You just want to make sure guys understands formations, where to line up, and where you need to, especially defensively, where your fits are defensively, and then where your spacing is offensively. So you're trying to figure that all out, put that all in, and once you implement that and guys get the basics of what you're trying to do, then you start adding on as training camp starts or OTAs or whatsoever, and you start adding. And then you go into training camp and you have a schedule. You don't just throw the whole playbook in. You may put first first meeting may be the first install may be 6 plays. It may be 3 run plays, 3 pass plays, but in different formations and different group settings. And then you go out and do that. And then that evening you add maybe 6 more plays. So now you have 12 plays going into the second day. So that's how you add. You install each day, but continue to rep the plays that you put in. And it's if you don't keep up, man, you get lost. You got to study. It's like school. When you go back to your room, you got to study because you don't go on day 4. You don't go back and put day 1 back on the board. You just
Yeah.
need to know it. You see what I'm saying? So the football, if you don't know how to, if you don't keep up and take this thing seriously, you'll be lost.
So do they give you like a big binder on day one, maybe with
Oh
plays?
yeah.
Or
Oh yeah. And they give you a sheet of what's going to be installed. So you already know the installation period. So you can jump ahead and be ahead of the game if you like. But there's always an installation period. So you're gonna get a page of what's gonna be installed, what day, and formations, all that. So you know right away. So going into the next evening meeting, you already seen, if you studied the night before, this is what's going in. Let's get a head up so I can understand the terminology when I get into the meeting.
okay, appreciate that insight. Matt, he also spoke about the complexity or changing of offenses because he's been through quite a few since he's been here in Atlanta. But he said the main thing is it's just the terminology.
Right.
Um, what's different about the terminology from one coach to another? What? Give me an example, maybe what a play you might call, and then and why would they change it?
Well, it's one of those things, for instance, one one coach may call what we call a flat route, which is out the, for a back, come out the backfield, run a flat route, 2 or 3 yards. Some coaches may call it a flat route. Some coaches may call it an arrow. Uh, you know, Same thing with a slant route. You may call a slant route a slant route. You may call it an arrow.
Okay.
You may call, an out route, speed out, okie, out, whatever. It's just the different terminologies. You may call a post route of bang eight, skinny, it's or post route. So there's different terminologies that you have in there that once you if you're a good offensive minded coach,
Mhm.
and once you put that in, you will give all the terminologies. Oh, slant route, you can call it a down and in, you can call it an arrow, but it's a slant route. We're gonna call it a down and in.
Okay.
So, but when you say all it is a slant route, a guy says, "Oh, I understand that." So that's how you implement your offense. You got to know all different terminologies to connect with the players to let them know, "Hey, this is just this, but we're
Okay.
gonna call it that." And then they go, "Oh, I get it. I got it now." So it's not that it sounds like it's complicated, but it's really not. It's really not.
All right. Well, that's a perfect segue. We do have questions and a couple of comments for you. One was from a Todd Mullis. He said, Terrence, I love your interviews. Would you accept a position coach offer if the Falcons made an offer? You would be valuable asset to the Falcons coaching staff. The psychological piece to this is huge, and you would absolutely be fantastic at getting the players in the right mindset. Would you take a coaching offer from the Falcons, Terrence?
For sure. In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I'm home. I'm right here. I think I can help. Well, I'm not going to say I think. I know I can help uh, the wide receiver position play at a high level. I think I can see things that they can't see. I can put them in situations for success because I've done it and I'm still part of it. I would love to be a position coach for the Atlanta Falcons.
All right. Uh, Another one is a comment. It's from Drum Corps Central. It says, no one is going to offer something good enough to trade him. And they're referring to Julio. He's saying nobody's going to offer nothing good enough. Do you think that's the case?
Well, I think that's the case because if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, is to trade an asset like Julio Jones. Oh my goodness, I have to get an equal asset and more for him. I can't just I You can't trade Julio Jones for anything less than a second round pick and an asset from your team. If you do anything, if you do anything less than that, shame on you. So I think my opinion is Julio Jones will be part of this team in 2021.
Okay. Y'all heard it here first. Let's make it happen, Atlanta Falcons. And one last comment. I did pick it out. It's just because I want your perspective on can we predict the future, so to speak. Someone said Frank Darby will be a Pro Bowler. So, I mean, because that's something we can say already, or are we way ahead of the gun?
Well, you remember in my mock draft, I had Frank Darby on the board.
You did.
And I said, here's a sleeper guy who had a great junior year, sophomore year, whatever it was at Arizona State. And he's one of those guys that he's a sleeper. And if you watch, some of the things, the confidence he has in mini camp, he dances around, he has a good time. He's happy to be there. He is so happy to be there because how he fell from potentially a first or second round pick to all the way to the sixth round or whatever it was. He's going to give it to you. This is the guy that you want on your roster because first of all, he feels that he's a first round caliber receiver. So he's going to work his butt off to prove that. And secondly, he wants first, second round money. So he's going to play his butt off for you for the next 3 to 4 years and give it to you. And I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler this year, but he's potentially going to be a Pro Bowler down the road.
Okay. Well, thank you again, fans, for your questions and comments. Please make sure to continue to send those in. As you see, Terrence is going to answer them things for you. So don't be scared, send them in.
Yes.
You got a throwback for us this week, Terrence?
My throwback this week is just Julio Jones. From day one to now, just he's a throwback by himself. From the time he hit from his first touchdown to his last touchdown, to the biggest play that I felt that was made in Falcon history is when he caught that ball in the Super Bowl that put us in field goal range. That was a remarkable catch. And the thing is that we didn't capitalize on that. Oh my God, that's a shame. But Julio Jones is my throwback. He's the best receiver to ever play in an Atlanta Falcon uniform. And look, trust me, I had my time. I had my day. I had my records. But this dude is far above one of the best to ever play in an Atlanta Falcon uniform.
Well, let me ask you real quick. Maybe this will be also a throwback. Do you ever recall like a catch you made where you toe tapped on the sideline or something? And you was like, man, I can't believe that. Like, wow.
You know what? And I see it often. It was the NFC Championship game against the Vikings, the first play of the game. I catch a one-hand ball and go up high, catch it one hand and get my feet down. And I jumped up like it was just ordinary. But when I watch it on film, I go, oh my God, did I do that? So yeah, it's a number of catches that I've done that I've made that you go, wow, how did he make that catch? But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's what you do. You catch, people don't understand. You catch hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of balls during the week. So on game day, it's easy. It's really easy.
Well, again, folks, we want to thank you for always tuning in. Please make sure you subscribe. And Falcons, y'all hear Terrence's take on Julio. I'm sure a lot of people feel like this. I guess we're going to find out in like less than two to 3 weeks what's really going to happen here. So it's getting close. Got anything for him, Terrence?
I got something for you. My birthday is June 7th. Falcons, please. The best birthday wish you can give me is 2 things. You give me a job and keep Julio Jones. That's what I want for my birthday. How about that?
All right, Atlanta Falcons, make that happen. Make that happen. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.